stone. Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth. Words so sharp, they cut right through. Real talk for the soul's appeal. Prayers rise up the wounds they heal. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. Each step brings another fight. Breaking chains, we're seeking light. Voice of power won't be tamed. With his love, we're never shamed. Lift our voices to the sky. A righteous perspective high. On this path we won't back down. For the Father wears the crown. From the ashes we shall rise. Hope is found deep in our eyes. Every word a battle cry. With the Father none deny.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. It's your man Wise, and we have a great show today. I appreciate everybody pulling up. If you could, please make sure that you hit the like button for me on the way in. When you get here, if you'd like to support the channel in any other kind of way, there's a plethora of ways. You know, super chat, super thanks. They are very well received and appreciated. As well as if you'd like to buy your man a coffee, link is in the description box below. We got a great show, man. We got a lot to cover today. Sorry about yesterday, man. We had a short show, but overall, I thought it was, pretty decent show. In the chat, please let me know where you are watching from, city, state. I appreciate everybody that's pulled up. Shout out to the mods, T.A. Kasky. What's going on with you, brother? Doing well. The pup is doing well. My dog, Shakir, Aloysius. He's doing well as well. He's got like a little boo-boo on his paw. I think the snow and the ice might have cut him up a little bit. We got hit with snow out here earlier this week, and he's still got to go outside and kind of handle his business. And yeah, he's been hobbling around here, man. And I don't think he's feeling well. He's kind of been throwing up a little bit. It hasn't been good, for the past couple of days for old Shakir Aloysius, man. What's going on? Megahertz, is it Orkali or Okali? I'm not sure, maybe. How you doing today? Appreciate you pulling up today, man. We got a great show. Again, if you could hit the like button, share the stream, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you are subscribed, make sure you have those notifications turned on so you never miss an upload. I do appreciate, again, everybody supporting the channel. And let's get into it, man. Let's get into it, man. These daggone fires out in California, these fires, man, they just keep getting worse, man. It is crazy what's happening in LA right now. I mean, it's nothing short of catastrophic. The Pacific Palisades, out there, it's the most destructive in LA history. They've never seen anything like it. Entire blocks wiped out. This is crazy. This is crazy. And that's just one of them. We're going to take a look at some footage. We got to jump into it. We got to take some look at some footage, man. I'm going to be talking as the footage plays, but this is just so disheartening, man. It really is, man. It's just unfortunate, man. Prayers to all the people out there.
Oh my God.
This is unreal. I couldn't even fathom living in a situation like this, to be honest with you. I really couldn't.
$1 million. Oh, more.
Oh my God.
Goodness gracious.
From operations, copy that with that.
Oh my God.
That strike team reporting there, or no?
Y'all know the insurance companies are losing it right now. Y'all know that.
Holy fuck.
I'll take the strike team.
Excuse the language. Sorry about the language.
With the area, because we still have the community that
Oh my God.
refuse to leave.
This is
But if you have
this is
other
unreal.
priorities,
This is insane.
greater needs.
This is like the most wild thing.
Goodness gracious, man. This right here is the like a drone overhead shot, you know, of the carnage out there. I mean, this is awful, man. Now, you did hear somebody say something about $1 million houses. And for those of y'all that don't live out in California, $1 million house honestly isn't that much in the state of California. You know, a home that's, you know, 8 to 1,200 square feet would run you, you know, 800, 900, upwards to $1 million, depending on where you are in the state of California. But I am for certain that the insurance companies, the homeowner insurance companies out there are losing their minds. Now, I would assume that there maybe is some additional loophole out there because they live in an area that consistently has these types of fires. So I would assume that you probably have to have not only homeowners insurance, but you also have to have probably fire insurance, very similar to, you know, down in Florida and some of the places out on the, you know, in Hurricane Alley where, yeah, you got to have homeowners, but you also have to have, you know, flood insurance and, you know, probably hurricane insurance and things of that nature. TA, you're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right. In California, a trailer. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right there, man. It's probably hit you for $1 million or so. But that footage, man, is it's just crazy. Neighborhoods totally obliterated, man. Totally obliterated. Houses turned to ash, and a city that used to be Hollywood's now looking like a daggone war zone. Thousands of structures burned. No water, no electricity. I mean, honestly, man, it's like a scene from a disaster movie out there. It really is. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to watch. Regardless of what we think about those people on the left coast, on the West Coast, there's still some good people out there. You know, obviously we know heavily blue. There's a lot of freaking liberals out there, and my bad for hitting the daggone mic, but there's a lot of liberals out there, but they're still Americans, and there's a lot of good people. And the footage, it's just heartbreaking to watch, man. It really is. But this tragedy, it was preventable. Let's talk about the real culprits here. Democrats and their piss poor policies. They've been neglecting controlled burns, critical for preventing these fires. There's no water in the fire hydrants. No water in the fire hydrants, guys. How do you not have water in the fire hydrants? How does this happen? How do you not have water in the fire hydrants, man? Is this America or a third world country? Seriously. Trump blasted California Governor Gavin Newsom yesterday for ignoring the water situation. We got to take a look at it, man. Goodness gracious.
In California, Mr. President, during the pandemic, you often said that you didn't believe that you should bail out blue states that you believe were being mismanaged. Given your criticism of Governor Gavin Newsom, are you willing to work with him, and do you believe that federal aid should be provided to California for as long as it takes?
Well, it's very sad because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish, which is in other areas, by the way, called a smelt. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side. and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that. There's no reason. Can you imagine? You have farmers that don't have any water in California. They have plenty of water. They don't have a drought. They send it out to the Pacific, and it's crazy. So
there you have it, man. There you have it. So what happened here was a couple of years ago, a group of environmentalists, they rallied to save, some endangered fish. And I'm about the animals. So yes, we want to save the fish. But back during Trump's first term, Trump pushed to redirect California's northern runoff south to benefit farmers dealing with the droughts. And then in 2020, he signed a federal memorandum that basically redirected millions of gallons of water that would have otherwise gone out into the ocean. But days later, Newsom blocked Trump's move after a group of environmentalists said that this would hurt the population of Delta smelt, which is a small fish that's effectively extinct at this point. Now, like I said, there is a time and a place for activism. It is. But this is just one instance of the many disastrous policies that got us here in the first place. The problem is incompetent leadership and misplaced priorities. Point blank, period. We could stop right there. That right there is a mouthful. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn, but the problem right now out in California and a ton of blue states across the country is incompetent leadership and misplaced priorities. The Los Angeles Fire Department, they're severely underfunded thanks to the mayor, Karen Bass. And when she was asked to comment on this, we gotta take a look at it, man. I mean, the lack of accountability from these people is it's just outrageous, man. And I just don't understand why they keep voting these people back in.
Apology for being absent while their homes were burning. Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today?
Can you back up? Appreciate it.
Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
This is ridiculous, man. Such a disgrace, man.
Madam Mayor, let me ask you just again, have you anything to say to the citizens today as you return?
No. Ma'am, hold on 1 second.
Running away from accountability, man.
Madam Mayor, just a few words for the citizens today as you return to deal with the catastrophe.
Can you take this down? David, as you say, she wasn't very keen to answer any of your questions there. And fire chiefs are also admitting that they just don't have enough personnel to take out the fires.
Yeah, they're fighting all sorts of challenges. They're talking about a water shortage. There are reports of fire hydrant failures. They've been unable to use firefighting aircraft for much of the day due to the smoke that is billowing ominously from the hills where the wildfires are raging. And I suppose despite that political storm, this is, of course, at its heart, a human story, because we've now 80,000 people evacuated. Tens of thousands of others are on standby to be evacuated. 2 lives have been lost in the Eaton fire, which is what's causing the consequence behind us. The city's iconic landscape almost shrouded completely by the smoke. And they're really just taking it one step at a time, hoping at some stage the wind's going to change direction or to die down, and that they're going to be able to get this fire under control.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man. That was hard to watch. This is the mayor. This is the mayor of LA, who refuses to take any accountability for poor choices and decisions during her administration. This is ridiculous. Now, we're going to watch a clip a little later down the line. Jasmine Crockett said that black women are the backbone in this country and they're the most educated. And I'm not saying this to denigrate black women, what I'm saying here. But for whatever reason, we're seeing these people in places of power. LA, New Orleans, out there in, golly, what is that little place? Tiffany Henry. She's in Dalton somewhere or something along those lines. And I don't say this to denigrate black women. I love black women. I do. I love all people, all women. My wife's a black woman. My mama is. But this is outrageous. Like, how many of these people we got to see in these abject failures before we say, like, hold up, man, can y'all stop tooting y'all own horn like this? Like y'all just, you know, the gift of God's green earth. Can we stop it and just judge each individual, you know, on their own merit and their own character? Can we do that? Seriously? Can we do that going forward? I mean, come on, man. Come on. That's just so sad, man. You know, nothing to say to gutting $20 million from LA's, you know, firefighting budget. Nothing. If these people can't answer simple questions, why are they in power? You have people that have lost everything at this point. They should at least get some answers from the leadership. Instead of taking responsibility or apologizing, she's silent on deflecting questions. I mean, this is crazy, man. This is how Democrats have handled disasters, by projecting blame and never offering real solutions. I don't even know why she cut her Ghana trip short. I mean, it's not like she came back to offer any real solutions. And remember, you know, when she lambasted Ted Cruz for fleeing Texas during a winter storm a few years ago. You guys recall that? This is her tweet right here. I had to pull it up early, but this is her tweet. Ted Cruz fleeing Texas in the middle of a deadly crisis is part of a larger pattern of the GOP abandoning folks in crisis. We need to build a movement to kick them all out. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. I mean, come on. Come on. This thing has been going on for a minute, and it took her 2 days to get back to LA when her city is on fire. 2 days to get back to LA when her city is on fire. Come on, man. Now, you know, I know I come back to this time and time again, but I think it's important. There's a serious lack of competent leadership in Democrat-run cities, and it shows. In 2025, these liberal cities, these DEI mayors are being exposed. It started on January 1st. The debacle in New Orleans, the fact that Granny superintendent down there did not know that they had barriers for safety to block off the streets down on Bourbon Street. She didn't know it until after that horrific incident happened. Why are you in a position of power? You're supposed to be leading and protecting the daggone city of New Orleans. How do you not know every safety measure in your city? How do you know? How do you not know this, man? Man.
Stronger than ever. Right now, if you need help, emergency information, resources, and shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL. Los Angeles, together is how we will get through this. Through the heroism of our firefighters, the vigilance.
Good Lord. Take the script away. Take the script away from this lady, man. They're done. This woman was actually on the short list to become Biden's VP back in 2020. This lady was on the short list to become Biden's VP candidate in 2020. To be honest with you, I'm not surprised that that was the case. I didn't find that out until today. I didn't, because I didn't really care who was on a short list like that. It didn't matter to me. But this does not surprise me that she was on the short list. They did tell him, you got to pick a black woman. They didn't say she had to be competent. You just got to pick a black woman. So it doesn't shock me at all to find this out. It just doesn't. But what really gets me, that's, over the next few weeks, and I mean, honestly, it's already started, but you're going to hear from Newsom, Karen Bass, the Democratic Party out in California, about how there's nothing that they could have done to prevent these fires, that it's all climate change. And if you don't install your solar panels and buy electric vehicles, this is all on you. It's your fault. The average American that can't afford to buy a dozen of eggs, it's your fault. It's your fault that all of this is going on around us. But the truth is, it's not climate change. Sure, it's true that California in general is a fiery place. It's really dry out there. They didn't come up, a song was not created that it never rains in Southern California for a reason. It's really dry out there. But it's also true that the Santa Ana winds aren't helping, but sensible forest management could have prevented this. And the fact that they don't have water because of poor choices and decisions, and the fact that Governor Newsom cut the funding for preventing forest fires and failed to build sufficient water resources for fighting fires, that's on them. The fact that Mayor Karen Bass cut nearly $20 million in funding for the Los Angeles Fire Department and then went to Ghana, even though she knew the risk of a catastrophic fire, and she dipped out. I mean, come on, man. It's hard to overstate how badly they screwed up the water management and how badly they screwed up this entire situation. Their incompetency has exacerbated a very, very scary and dire situation. Newsom hasn't built the new water reserves that LA needed. And Newsom even cut the budget for water infrastructure projects last year. This dude cut the budget last year. Why is that? Why is that? Is it because that they were focused on other things like, playing the blame game? Take a look at Newsom's response when he was asked about mismanaging these fires. You guys got to see this, man. Nobody wants to take accountability out there, man. Nobody wants to take accountability, man.
Public safety face. I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
I'm sorry. I got to start this over, because when you got Anderson Cooper out there saying, I hate to actually ask that question. The last time I checked, aren't you a journalist? Your job is to ask questions. So for you to come out, I hate to ask you this question. Are you freaking kidding me? This is ridiculous, man.
We're in the public safety phase. I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
One can't even respond to it. I mean, people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't. I stood next to a president of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden. And he had the backs of every single person in this community. He didn't play politics, didn't try to divide any of us.
Yeah, so first things first. Blame everyone else but yourself. I mean, these folks on the left are something else, man. They really are. They something else. Trump calls him out on his incompetence, corruption, mismanagement, and Newsom cries like he's the victim, bro. He is the victim, but that's who they are, man. They're perpetual victims, man. So we got the blame game out of the way. And what's next? Well, in their usual fashion, this isn't my job. You're the governor, bro. You're the governor, but this isn't your job. This is crazy, man. You can't make this stuff up.
With the water, obviously in Palisades, ran out last night in the hydrants. I was talking to the firefighter on this block. They left because there was no water in the hydrant here.
The local folks are trying to figure that out. I mean, just when you have a system that's not dissimilar to what we've seen in other extraordinarily large-scale fires, whether it be pipe, electricity, or whether it just be the complete overwhelm of the system. I mean, those hydrants are typical for 2 or 3 fires, maybe 1 fire. You have something at this scale, but again, that's going to be determined by the local.
Yeah. Pointing the blame at somebody else. Pointing the blame at somebody. It's not my fault. Last time I checked, don't they live next to the Pacific Ocean? They literally have water right there. All right, now, hey, this is not me. It's a local government problem. Okay, I got it. What's the next move in their playbook? Why weren't they able to stop this completely preventable disaster? And like I said, they were focused on other things. The worst part, or the worst one, being making the fire department more racially diverse. That was, honestly, just hearing this stuff, man, it really bothers me. It really bothers me. They were more focused on making the fire department more racially diverse. And, I guess, what do you call that? I don't even know what you would call it with the, alphabet community, and making sure they have a certain amount of those folks in there as well. And all this pronoun stuff and all this other kind of stuff. But, the fire department, has an entire equity bureau whose mission is, and I quote, to advance DEI within the fire service. Last year, the fire department cut $7 million from the overtime budget, but they, of course, kept the DEI department. Now, hear me now. They cut $7 million from the daggone fire budget, but they kept the DEI departments. And I'm for certain that these people that work in these DEI departments, they're probably some of the highest paid people in the daggone LA County Fire Department. Because these people that get in these positions, they make tons of money. I think we talked about this maybe a week or so ago, or I did a video on it where they were talking about the DEI at some of these colleges making $300,000 a year. So these people make a ton of money to push this agenda onto the workforce. This is outrageous. And when we said DEI could kill people, when we said that, a lot of folks got canceled behind that. And honestly, I wish we weren't right, man. But here we are. Like, come on, man. This is ridiculous. This stuff has got to stop, man.
Reach down and bring you up. And that's kind of something that stuck with me to this day.
Part of that work means speaking up for those who can't. Over the last few years, LAFD has dealt with a fair share of controversy, and Larson not afraid to sound the alarm.
I chose to speak out pretty much by myself about the issues of sexism and racism within my department, and the need for change. I don't think there's any question that our department is the best at fighting fires. We do it better than anybody in the world. But when it comes to the personnel side, we have some issues, and they're not insurmountable, but they need to be addressed and fixed to the best of everybody's ability.
Honestly, man, I couldn't tell if that was a man or a woman, and I'm not trying to be funny. I just really couldn't tell. That definitely was an androgynous individual. I'm not for sure, but they were talking a bunch of nonsense. And for them to come out here and say that they're the best at fighting fires, really? I mean, this is LA Fire Department, assistant. This was the LA Fire Department assistant who rakes in over $300,000 or $399,000 a year. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money. Telling you that the biggest issue in the department is sexism and racism and not getting or retaining the best talent. Now, the last time I checked, every company out there is only as good as the people that they have working within the organization. we can look at this, from a sports perspective. It's about the players on the field, the players on the court. It's about them. If you got good players can make a great coach or make a good coach look great. We know this. They put more focus on things that don't matter instead of going after and not only going to get the best talent, but retaining the best talent and training the best talent. Come on, man. We need more women firefighters. That's the thought process. We need more women firefighters. I don't know. Have you guys ever watched any of those firefighting competitions where, it's men and women and they're going through all different types of obstacle courses and stuff like that? I mean, based off of what I've seen and watching those competitions, honestly, I don't think we need more women firefighters. And to be honest with you, I don't think a lot of women want to be firefighters. Those that do, let them go in there and go and compete for an opportunity. But we shouldn't be, trying to force this on them. Because, women are definitely built to, carry all that heavy equipment and potentially, a heavy dude. I mean, let's just keep it real. I'm a pretty decent sized guy. I'm a pretty decent sized guy. I don't think a woman is coming in here, my house on fire, and I'm passed out somewhere and picking my big behind up and dragging me outside. I just don't think it. And I don't say that to be sexist, some sexist pig out there. I just don't think, some woman is coming to pick up some 240, 250 pound dude. I just don't see it. Heck, you got some guys that would struggle picking up a big dude like that. I mean, and speaking of DEI hires, we got to check out, LA Department of Water and Power CEO. I believe her name is Janice Quinones. I could be pronouncing her name wrong, and I'm sorry if I am. Explain how Los Angeles ran out of water. This is crazy.
Ran out of water in the first tank about 4:45 p.m. yesterday. We ran out of water in the second tank about 8:30 p.m. and the third tank about 3 a.m. this morning. Those tanks help with the pressure on the fire hydrants and the hills of Palisades. And because we were pushing so much water in our trunk line, and so much water was being used before it could get to the tanks, we were not able to fill the tanks fast enough. So the consumption of water was faster than we can provide water in our trunk line. So I want to make sure that you understand there's water on the trunk line. It just cannot get up the hill because we cannot fill the tanks fast enough.
What is the number of hydrants that could not get water because of these pressure issues? What percentage of the system in Pacific Palisades wasn't getting service at that point?
We were trying to keep water at all altitudes on the Palisades, and I think about 3 in the morning, that's when the hydrants went dry above the Brentwood area. We are able to push water on that trunk line on the east side of that. And we have some water on higher elevations, 16 to 18,000, but at 3,000, at 3 a.m., all of the fire hydrants went dry in the Palisades. What are we doing now? We're sending about 20 water tanks for our construction crews full of water to support the fire department. We identify other areas in our system where our tankers can refill. It takes about 30 minutes to refill about 4,000 gallons of water, and we're constantly moving that water to the fire department to get them as much water as we can. For the people on zip code 90272, because we're pushing the water system so hard, our water quality is decreasing. So we're gonna be issuing a boil water notice this morning, and that will extend for about 48 hours. The water quality is low. We have a lot of ash in the system. And so please, if you're gonna be drinking water, you need to boil the water. Those boiled waters will continue to increase as the system starts restoring.
So there's no water because so much water is being used. I got it. I think that's what I gathered from that. Is that what you guys gathered out of this? Is that what you guys gathered? I mean, this isn't all fun and games anymore. It isn't. And, I'm trying to, not put a, comedic element to this, but there is so much incompetence going on, like right in front of our faces. I feel sorry for the people out in California. regardless of their politics, man. I feel sorry for those people, man, because they're being led by people that obviously don't know what they're doing. I mean, this type of crap, man, it puts people's lives on the line. This whole obsession with DEI, the stupidity has, just real devastating consequences for communities. And they tell us that hiring more or hiring a more diverse workforce or investing in inclusive policies is progress. But when push comes to shove, these actions don't put out fires or restore burned neighborhoods. I mean, this is dangerous stuff, guys. When you got so-called leaders more concerned with looking progressive than being effective, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. And when homes are burning and people are fleeing for their lives, the color of a person's skin or the gender of a person or that individual's sexual orientation does not matter if they're, fighting a fire. And honestly, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. The only thing that should matter is, do they have the ability to do the job? That's it. Can they do the job? Can we train them to do the job better at a higher level? But God forbid we hire based on merit in this country. Take a look at this story from Adam Carolla. This is about a time when he tried to become a firefighter out in LA. You guys got to hear this, man.
Geez, I want to talk about my white privilege so badly. I graduated North Hollywood High with a 1.7 GPA. I could not find a job. I walked to a fire station in North Hollywood. I was 19. I was living in the garage of my family home. My mom was on welfare and food stamps. And I said, can I get a job as a fireman? And they said, no, because you're not black, Hispanic, or a woman. We'll see in about 7 years. And I went to a construction site and dug ditches and picked up garbage for the next 7 years. I got a letter in the mail sent to my father's house saying, your time has come to do the written exam for the LA Fire Department. I took it, and I was standing in line, and I had a young woman of color standing behind me in line, and I said, just out of curiosity, when did you sign up to become a fireman? Because I did it, or a person, 7 years ago, and she said, Wednesday. That is an example of my white privilege. It's
golly. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Imagine being a young adult wanting to serve your community, but you're told you can't because you're white. Or, because there are other races and other genders that we got to prioritize over you. I mean, this is beyond ridiculous, man. It really is. It's beyond ridiculous, especially in a field like this. As a first responder, why in the world would we compromise on competence? Like, why would we do that? But this is where we're at right now, man. This is where we're at. People are losing their homes, their livelihoods, and we're still seeing the same old excuses from Democratic leaders. It's not our fault. It's climate change. It's not our fault. It's historical redlining, so forth and so on. Anything but admitting that their policies might have contributed to this disaster. Anything but that. Excuse me. And don't think the media's going to be holding them accountable for this or asking any real questions. They're going to do what they always do. They're going to protect their Democratic overlords. But at least we have Scott Jennings over on CNN. God bless Scott Jennings. Scott Jennings is the freaking man over there, man. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he sits at that table with these people and go 1 versus 4, 1v5 sometimes. But at least we have people. At least we got some people being like, yo, hold up, man. Y'all got us into this mess. Your policies got us into this mess. You guys got to see this, man. I did a standalone video to this, but I wanted to add this to this live stream today. You got to check out this exchange between Scott Jennings and Representative Jasmine Crockett, or as Greg calls her, what does he call her? I can't even think of it right now off the top of my head. But this lady, she completely loses it after Scott Jennings hits her with some truth bombs, man. These people do not want to hear the truth. They want no parts of the truth, man. No parts of it.
You might have recall a news story from last year. There was some interest in the fire departments and the firefighters in California. And the interest was that there were too many white men who were firefighters, and we need to have a program in California to make sure we don't have enough white men as firefighters. So we have DEI, we have budget cuts, and yet I'm wondering now, if your house is burning down, how much do you care what color the firefighters are?
You can respond, and then we'll...
Listen, I am so tired. You know what? There was an article that just came out that said that actually the most educated demographic in this country right now is black women. So let me be clear.
I'm going to let it play. But what the heck does that have to do with fighting fires? What does that have to do with what Scott Jennings just said? The most educated group in the country are black women? How is that even possible? 6% of the population is the most educated group in the country? How is that even possible? Oh my gosh, man. I'm sorry. I had to stop it, but every time I hear that right there, just that opening for her, it irks me, man. It really does. It irked the heck out of me, man.
Because you are a woman, or because I know that some of the right has been sharing these photos of the fact that I believe that the fire chief may be a woman or something, that has nothing to do with it. We are looking at qualifications. What diversity, equity, and inclusion has always been about is saying, you know what? Open this up. Don't just look at the white men. Open it up and recognize that other people can be qualified. And the fact that we want to, at a time when people are dying, decide that a country of immigrants is failing, or people are dying because the same very people that...
I'm sorry. What is this lady talking about? What is she talking about? This is a bunch of bluster. She's saying a bunch of nothing, man.
Built this country, because the last time I checked, y'all didn't say that anything was wrong with the White House, and I can promise you it was my ancestors that built the White House. So listen, if we have been good enough to build this country, we are good enough to serve and die overseas, we are good enough to serve in other ways. And the fact that people actually decide that they want to engage in public service, whether it's sitting in Congress or whether it's serving on the fire department or the police department, should not be an issue. The fact is, stop trying to act as if only white men are the ones that are capable. Because right now you're sitting at a table with 3 very capable black women.
I'm not.
This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing. Look at the look on this lady's face. Look at this. She really thought she cooked. She really thought she said something. This is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for her that she thought she actually said something. Oh my goodness, man. Every time I watch this clip, and this is probably the, I don't know, 3rd, 4th, 5th time that I've watched this clip, every time it brings something out of me. It really did. It brings something just nasty out of me. That word salad, oh my gosh, man. She didn't even say anything. Nothing of substance. She added nothing to the conversation. Are you kidding me? How do you go from fires to my ancestors built the daggone White House? What the heck? Oh my, I'm sorry. What is going on, man? Golly. Oh. It's hard to watch, man. I'm not going to lie to you. That is hard to watch. Seriously. Seriously. How do you go from fires? We're talking about fighting fires here to my ancestors built the White House. That right there in itself tells you that she got nothing but race hustling going on. Nothing but race baiting. She's got nothing else to offer us. Nothing. No solutions. Nothing. She's got nothing but race hustling to offer us. Absolutely nothing. Now, I kind of knew that already. I mean, from her, previous times that she's gone viral, and she's definitely gone viral for this foolish ass statement. And my apology for my language, but goodness gracious, this is ridiculous, man. This is ridiculous. This is hard to watch, man. It's hard to watch. It's hard to listen to. But you see, when you challenge these people on their policies, and when you challenge their policies with facts, they absolutely lose their daggone minds. They absolutely lose it. They can't handle it. They'll do anything to defend the indefensible, like the idea that somehow prioritizing diversity over merit in emergency services is progress. I don't know how many of you guys are going to watch the national championship game today. I think it comes on here in a little bit, or not the national championship game, but the Final Fours, one of the games come on today. How many of you guys that, if you guys are into college football, if you're into the NFL, playoffs start this weekend, how many of you guys want to see more nerds on the daggone football field? How many of you guys want to see it? Well, I don't know. On an NFL roster, we got 52 slots on a roster. How many of y'all want to see 5 people from the alphabet community, 25 women, and another 5 to 10 nerds on the team? How many of y'all want to watch that? Seriously. Come on, what are we doing here? I mean, this entire debacle in LA, it just perfectly demonstrates broader democratic governance issues, from water mismanagement to prioritizing diversity over merit in critical roles, in critical positions, and then blaming the climate on their own failures. I mean, come on, man. They literally said it was climate changing when they've made just piss poor decision after decision after decision. Come on, man. Seriously. LAPD right now is actively investigating reports on arson in relation to these fires. They didn't just start out of nowhere, man. But these folks, they don't care. They blamed the environment. They don't care, man. And the reason that they don't care is because they're focused on other things. And, because, this is what the radical left always focuses on. This is what they do. They do not focus on, man. They don't focus on the right things, man. They don't focus on the right things. The only thing that they do focus on, they'll focus on their super woke stuff. They'll focus on Trump for sure. Anytime he says anything that they think is outrageous, they'll go crazy over that. And climate, but ignoring things that actually matter to the people. And hey, they do the same thing, with everything. Crime, homelessness, you name it. California fails to provide adequate funding to the police. They weaken the laws that allow for burglaries and robberies and, so much theft in stores. They subsidize homelessness. They've subsidized homelessness. There are people that are filthy rich right now off of them subsidizing homelessness. I mean, what happened? What did it do? All it did was attract more homeless people from all around the daggone country to camp illegally and potentially start fires. Did y'all know that over half of the fires in places like LA are caused by homeless committing arson? Did y'all know that? I would assume that y'all knew that. We don't know what started, all of these fires, but at least one started within a housing subdivision. That they do know thus far. And you know what? When Rick Caruso ran for mayor against Karen Bass, he actually called for increasing the fire department's budget, which makes complete sense. In a place known for wildfires, again, in a place known for wildfires, you would think an intelligent person would say, you know what, maybe we should add a little more money to the fire department. But that dude lost. He lost. And who knows, but I bet, it had to do, with, all those, white liberals in Hollywood Hills, who can't vote for a white guy, virtue signaling and all of that, you know what I mean? And look at where it got him. Seriously, look at where it got him. So I guess, with this and, I'm sure, we'll find out more about how horribly this was managed. But, for now, when you hear them say that they could have done anything to prevent this, don't believe them. They knew this could happen, and they absolutely did nothing to get ready. They did nothing to prepare. If anything, they ignored it all. This isn't some act of God. It isn't. It's a lack of action, a lack of competence, from a man, from a woman that, just chose to ignore what could actually happen. And I hope our leftist friends over in LA, I hope they wake up before it's too late. I hope they do. And realize that, hey, we can't keep voting for this foolishness. We just can't. And these wildfire risks, they're not new. And anyone even slightly paying attention, they knew about it. Democrats, they just chose to do nothing about it. They chose to do nothing to mitigate this. And that's the flat out truth, man. That is the truth, man. It's just crazy. We're going to take a quick break, man. We're going to have a quick message from our sponsor, Lear Capital, and then we'll be right back. Let me be brutally honest with you all. Our American values and financial system are under attack right now. You need to act fast and learn alternative ways to invest. That's why I trust Lear Capital for buying gold and silver. In today's volatile economic and political climate, precious metals can protect your wealth. Lear Capital has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and more than 3 billion in trusted transactions. Here's what I recommend. Call Lear Capital today. 800-489-6450 or visit learrp.com to request their free gold and silver investor kit. You can take possession of your metals, store them, or even roll over an IRA or a 401k into a gold IRA with the same tax benefits. Plus, they're offering up to $15,000 in bonus gold for qualified purchases. Call today at 800-489-6450 or go to learrp.com for more information. Alrighty, so let's shift gears from the physical fires out in California to a different kind of fire. The one that is basically burning in the world of social media. Mark Zuckerberg recently made some changes at Meta, and man, the left is steaming over these changes. But before we get into their reactions, let's check out what Zuckerberg's been up to at this point. Sorry about that. Let me reshare. Uh-oh. 1 second. All righty. Sorry about that. Little bit of technical difficulties here. Moving on.
Facebook and Hey everyone. I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed. So we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think that it will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more.
Alrighty, so you seen that, you heard that. So elections have consequences, guys. Elections have consequences. And I mean, Zuckerberg's essentially copying Elon Musk's playbook right now. But hey, we'll take what we can get at this point. You know, if it means less censorship and more freedom, of speech, then I'm all for it. Even if it's a bit late, but hey, it is what it is. Zuckerberg basically announced that Meta is waving bye-bye to its traditional fact checkers and that they're going to be rolling out the community notes. This means that instead of a centralized group deciding what's true, everyday users will help add context. I mean, it's a big move away from the kind of top-down censorship that's been common since, top-down censorship that's been common since after the 2016 election. And moving the content moderation team from California to Texas, I mean, I'd say I like it, but let's be real. Good luck finding someone who's not radical, left in California at this point. I mean, I guess it's possible, but is it probable? Maybe not. So I guess he doesn't necessarily have a choice but to move that particular department out of Cali into Texas, as long as he doesn't move it to Austin, Texas, because there's a ton of liberals in Austin for one reason or another. But either way, this is a move in the right direction, and it's not just about changing how Facebook works. It's about, being part of a broader shift that seems to be happening now that Trump's coming back into office. Whether it's legitimate or not, they're trying to save face. One thing's clear, though. People are past censorship and CEOs are responding in kind. And the left, well, the left, they are who they are and they're doing what they're doing. They're furious over this because it disrupts their ability to control the narrative. After all, I mean, after all these years using these platforms to push their agendas, and now with user-driven fact-checking, they're basically losing their grip and they're panicking. And honestly, it's hilarious to watch. It really is. I mean, these people always talk about, you know, threats to democracy when we know that we live in a constitutional republic. But, you know, people should have the ability to practice their First Amendment right, which is freedom of speech, you know, in this country, without having people say that they can or cannot say, or you know, what they're saying is true or it's not true. Put it out there and let the people decide. How about that?
It gets to this broader sense that when people like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg talk about free speech,
I'm gonna stop that, but I do gotta go and give Ed Maurer a shout out. Appreciate that, man. $2 super chat. Zuckerberg is up to something, and you may be right there. You may be right. He may be up to something. And while I'm stopping, I want to say, give a quick shout out to Chris as well. New member to the ARP family. Appreciate you, brother. Let's keep it rocking.
It gets to this broader sense that when people like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg talk about free speech, everybody wants free speech, but it oftentimes seems that these tech CEOs actually are favoring or preferring a certain kind of speech, right? They're favoring their own speech or their own political preferences and not the actual entire user or the community's speech. You know, the changes announced by Meta today are very much a MAGA makeover, a pro-Trump makeover, and that's going to win Meta some conservative users, but it may repel some liberals. That's the same thing we've seen happen on Elon Musk's X. He's turned it into more of a right-wing platform where he's pro-free speech when it's really pro-Musk or pro-Trump speech.
All right, Brian Stelter, thanks as always. And you mentioned those changes over at Meta. That is going to be fascinating to watch moving forward because obviously Facebook and Instagram, places like that, have also been accused of being super spreaders of disinformation, misinformation. We'll keep our eyes on that.
It gets to this broad.
So this dude said that Facebook is going through a MAGA makeover. A MAGA makeover. I'm not gonna lie, I like it, man. They always think these little little phrases or terms that they throw out. They think it's a diss or something along those lines. In my opinion, it's not a diss. You know, it seems like that Facebook, I guess, and I would assume that Instagram will follow because Facebook owns Insta. That it's gonna go through a MAGA makeover, and I actually like the term. But it's insane to think that these people, or to hear how out of touch that these people are at the same time. Brian Stelter is basically admitting that the goal was to censor speech that they don't like and promote leftist ideology because any speech that they don't like is MAGA speech. That's basically what he said. They're not upset because they can't say what they want. They're not upset about that. They're upset because they can't say what they want at any time. They're upset that we now get an opportunity to say what we want whenever we want it. That's what they're upset about. Conservatives, center-right voices, they were censored and silenced by big tech for years. And Democrats, along with their propagandists in the media, mainstream media, legacy media, they can't stand that you're not censored anymore. TA, you can say whatever you want. I know you don't like Facebook like that, but go anywhere. Say whatever you want to say. You can do it now. I know you got a lot to say out there in Boston or up in Massachusetts. And, you know, these people, they're trying to throw a bunch of stuff at people like Elon and people like Zuckerberg, you know, hoping that it sticks. But they're so used to having these tech giants on their side, in their pocket. They're so used to getting their way that when they say that any move toward free speech is creating MAGA echo chambers, that right there lets you know that they're on the ropes. And then you got them out there calling people like Elon, you know, right-wing propagandists and a threat to democracy. Since when did upholding the Constitution and allowing people to have their First Amendment right of freedom of speech a threat to democracy? I guess maybe it is a threat to their democracy, I'm assuming. But it's definitely not a threat to the republic. It's definitely not that. I mean, there's a pattern here, though. There's a pattern. And Zuckerberg's a sellout to the MAGA agenda as per them. I don't think he is because, I mean, we know that this dude's given, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to Democrats over the years. We know this. So I don't know if he's, really a sellout to the MAGA agenda or he just realized that, hey, we lost. And, I got to get down or lay down, one or the two. This is the same dude that's been censoring conservative voices for years now. And now all of a sudden, they're buying elections. Take a look at Bernie's take, on this. Bernie's take on this, I don't know if you guys have seen this yet, but Bernie's take on this is absolutely insane. Check this out.
What we have got to do is, in a sense, change the value system of this. Right now, we're getting into a deeper issue. We talk about oligarchy, which is the reality. You have 3 people in America who own more wealth than the bottom half of America. You got more concentration of ownership today than we've ever had. And you got billionaires buying elections. You add that up, that is not maybe, that is oligarchy. All right. And then what you got is, okay, John, you're raising a kid. What should this child strive for? Well, obviously, to become like Elon Musk. The goal of life is to become a billionaire. That's all it is. And, Trump is a perfect example of that. You lie, you cheat, you steal. He was involved in 4,000 lawsuits as a private businessman. He lied all the time. Wow. But that's good because he made money. That's all that we want. Turn on the goddamn television. You can't watch a program without being flooded with ads, right? All right. We got to take a deep breath and ask ourselves, is that really the society we want? Everybody going out, becoming a billionaire? Or maybe how do we work together to create a good healthcare system? How do you come into teaching? We respect you. We love you because you're teaching kindergarten kids. That's important. You're respected. You're well paid. I want to see that in America. Hey, I'm really proud to work at the Social Security Administration. We're getting the benefits out on time. People are really excited and happy about it. Proud of what I'm doing. I want to see that pride. And I don't want to see young people just going out saying, I got to make more and more money. That's what life is about.
It's crazy talk coming from a socialist with, 3 or more homes and, I mean, come on, man. This dude's a socialist, communist, but he has, 3 more homes right now than half of Americans. Now, isn't that rich? I mean, again, another Democrat, pot calling the kettle black. What about your guy, George Soros? Probably the biggest political donor in all of America in the last few decades, funding far left radical policies. This dude owns more leftist DAs than anybody and helped destroy the United States justice system. What about this guy? What about him? What about Bill Gates, Reid Hoffman, Larry Fink, Jeffrey Epstein? What about these guys, man? No problem when they're dishing out the big bucks to change the face of America. Sanders talking about billionaires buying elections when for years, Democrats had no issue with big tech giants like Google, Facebook, Twitter, before Elon bought it anyway. He had no problem with them censoring Republicans, censoring conservatives, censoring anybody that did not push a liberal Democrat propaganda. He had no problem with it. When these platforms were silencing conservative speech, there was no outcry from the left about buying elections. It's only now when the tables are turning that they're suddenly concerned. If you guys recall, Twitter suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop story before the 2020 election. That was a clear case of big tech influencing public opinion in favor of Democrats. I'm sure you guys recall that. Or how about the millions and millions of donations from tech moguls like Sam Bankman-Fried to Democratic campaigns? and funding. Oh, they've been cozy with big tech for years. They've been cozy with the bread that comes from big tech for years. Just look at Democratic fundraising events hosted by Silicon Valley elites or hefty donations that come from tech executives to Democratic candidates. When it suited them, Democrats, they were all for tech's involvement in politics. But now that these CEOs are promoting free speech, they're promoting free speech at this point, they're selling out now. They're selling out. They're selling out the United States. They're a threat to democracy now because they're promoting what's in the Constitution. This is the type of hypocrisy that we're dealing with right now, folks. Seriously. This is the type of hypocrisy that we're dealing with. When big tech was censoring conservatives, it was business as usual, and they were all about it. But the moment there's a move towards fairness, they're not trying to sway things one to the other side, just making things fair. Just making things fair. They cry foul. It's crazy, man. It's about control with these people. It's not about democracy. If a daggone sure ain't about preserving the republic, it's about power. It's about control for them. It's about their ability to control the message and manipulate the minds of Americans. They didn't mind buying elections when it was their narrative being pushed. Now they're upset that they can't control the narrative anymore. Point blank, period. That's what this is about. And it's not just these politicians and the talking heads on the left. It's not just them. It seems like all Democrats are up in arms over this. And honestly, it's kind of hilarious, but it's ridiculous at the same time. Because again, these are the people that's, all about the country and, hey, we got to save democracy and all this other kind of foolishness. But when someone actually says that they want to do it, they don't want to hear it.
Fact check posts on Instagram, Facebook. So Mark Zuckerberg just announced that Meta will no longer fact check posts on Instagram, Facebook, or Threads, and instead will rely on users from these apps to correct posts for themselves. Now, putting aside the obvious negative implications of this policy change, to me, this is Mark Zuckerberg completing his total surrender to Donald Trump. Remember, a few weeks ago, Mark Zuckerberg met with Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, then proceeded to have Meta donate $1 million to Donald Trump's inaugural fund, and then replaced Meta's global policy chief, who was a liberal, with a Republican. So it's no coincidence that after all of that, Mark Zuckerberg has decided to now remove fact-checking from the website, which obviously serves to benefit Donald Trump, a man who spread 30,000 plus lies during his first term and who relied on lies and disinformation to win again in 2024. So yeah, Meta just completely surrendered to Donald Trump.
There you have it, man. It's not just, like I said earlier, it's not just the politicians, it's not just those in legacy media. Yeah, Democrats in general that are upset about this, man. Seriously. How dare you give the people, the citizens of the United States of America, free speech? How dare you? How dare you? Freedom of expression. How dare you? The TDS with these people is practically incurable for some of these folks on the left, man. Removing fact-checking is some grand conspiracy to help Trump? Really? Come on, man. Really? We got to break this down real quick. Fact-checking before, it was often biased, controlled by a select few who decided what was fact and what wasn't. And it almost always aligned with left-leaning narratives. Now, with community notes, it's about the collective wisdom of the users. Why are they so scared of people voicing their opinions? Why are they scared? This is insane, man. This fear of, open discourse shows how deep the control over speech has gone. They're not worried about misinformation. They're worried about losing the monopoly on what information gets out. They're concerned with their ability to continue to program the masses. You see, it's not about them being able to speak. It's not about that. They're still out there, loud as all get out. They're still out there, loud as ever. But it's about you, the regular people. It's about you. The people like my guy Eric Smith. It's about you guys. Regular folks, myself, I'm a regular person as well. Those of us who have these type of platforms, we're just regular people. You know, being able to speak our minds, or being able for you to speak your mind without some tech giant deciding what's appropriate or what's not. The left's been, they've been so used to controlling the narrative. And now that it's slipping away, these people are freaking out because their echo chambers are cracking and they hear their voices. They're hearing their voices and they've, been trying to mute for years, but they're hearing those voices now. And the truth is this. They're scared because they know that when you open up the floor to everyone, their ideas might not be as popular as they once thought. That's really what it is. They're scared because community notes means that the truth isn't just what they decide it is anymore, but something that we can all debate on and decide together. And the last time I checked, this country was built on civil discourse, the ability to debate ideas. The last time I checked. The last time I checked that this country, it was built on that. It was built on our ability to sit down and have conversations, have discussions, have debates. We're not going to agree all the time. I think that's the beautiful thing. When the whole H-1B situation came out a couple weeks back, and you had people on the right who they had a view and they were voicing it. In my opinion, it was beautiful to see. I know people on the left, they were laughing and they were just, chucking it up, oh my gosh, look at them. They're not on the same page. But they didn't, because they're so used to living in these echo chambers and just going along with whatever their overlords tell them to go along with. They don't even know what a free society looks like. They don't know what a free thinking society looks like. A free thinking society, when an idea gets presented, people, they converse about it. They have conversation about it. They debate about it. And it's civil. We don't got to go to fisticuffs. And we don't have to fracture and break apart because we may not agree on a certain policy or a certain situation. And ultimately, there were conversation, there was debate from people amongst the party, people from the outside. There was debate. And I would assume that we're going to come up with some form of conclusion that makes sense for the United States of America in reference to H-1Bs. I'm for certain that we will. But that's what this country was built on. And Eric, you're absolutely right. The left, they don't believe in critical thinking. They don't believe in debates. They proved that this past summer. People got to understand, this summer showed the world, honestly, I'm not even going to say the country. It showed the world that half of this nation, or almost half of this nation, is willing to go along with whatever the Democratic Party tells them to go along with. It tells them that half of this nation, or 45% of this nation, is almost ripe for the taking. They're almost ready for a communist socialist movement, and that they'll be able to do it, and the people won't say anything and they won't push back as long as it comes from their party. That's what we found out this summer. The fact that they ignored the will of the people, 14 million voters, and inserted someone into a spot as important as the nominee for president of the United States. And no one from that side said anything. There was no pushback. Everybody just said, oh, that's who we're supporting. And they got all the way on board with it. And they're still defending her to this day. No one talks about the fact that in 2020, she dropped out before the Iowa caucuses. No one wanted to support this lady because their people didn't tell them to support her. But as soon as they told them to support her, everybody on that side, they got on board with it. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. We're literally, being able to debate, being able to have conversations, being able to discuss issues and policies and go back and forth and spitball, ideas and, potential conclusions. That right there is supposed to be democracy in action. It's not a threat to it. It's not. But I appreciate you guys rocking with me today. I definitely appreciate you guys rocking with me today, man. This was fun. This was great. It was great to, get a full show in again. And I really, really appreciate you guys pulling up today. Shout out to the mods. Shout out to Ed. Maurer, appreciate you pulling up today as always. Shout out to Chris, new ARP family member. Eric Smith pulling up today. Appreciate you, man. Hey, I got some time. Anybody, if you guys want to pull up, I'd love to hear, what you guys have to say about any of the topics that we discussed today. The fires out in California, or Mark Zuckerberg, or anything else for that matter. I'm gonna stay on for a little bit, but I'm gonna put a link in the chat. If anybody wants to pull up for a little bit, and just say what's up. I will say, keep it peaceful, things of that nature. What's going on, Nina? How you doing today, sister? Appreciate you pulling up. Appreciate you pulling up today. But put the link down in there. If anybody wants to pull up for a quick second, say what's up, voice your opinion. Or if there's something that you disagree with me on that I said, don't, I'm okay with that too. We can have a conversation. I'm not one of those kind of people, willing to shout anybody down. I don't think I'm perfect. And I know I'm not 1000% right all the time. I do think I'm right a good amount of the time. But, if anybody would like to pull up and, chat with me for a little bit, I'd love to hear from you. I'm sure, some of the folks in the ARP family that pulled up tonight, they'd like to hear from you as well. But, man, this has been great, man. This has been a great show today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, I definitely enjoy it. And I appreciate you guys pulling up and just hanging out with me, man, because this is fun. This is fun. In the near future, I am going to, try to have some panels on here, at least maybe once or twice a week, and we'll get some people on to, just spitball and discuss some ideas. Some people, on our side, and I think it's, be a good thing to maybe get some people from the other side as well, that be willing to come on and, just chop it up. It's always good to, hear the opinions of others. I don't want to live in an echo chamber. I try not to live in an echo chamber. I hope you guys don't live in an echo chamber. I do watch things not only, from our side of things, but I'll go over and I'll check out, people on the left. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Watching it, sometimes it makes me cringe. Like listening to that lady, Jasmine Crockett, earlier today. I'm telling you, that was like the 4th or 5th time that I watched that clip. And every time I got the same type of reaction. Goodness gracious, man, it drives me crazy. I can't stand to hear that, man. This lady, she's got nothing but victimhood and, race hustle. I can't stand it, man. I can't stand it. Goodness gracious, man. All right. I guess we don't have anybody that wants to pull up, man. You guys are camera shy, man. Y'all got to stop being so daggone camera shy, man. Pull up and say what's up to your man every now and again. Nina, we're going to get you on the show, even if it's for 5 minutes, just to make sure that we give you a shout out, shout your company, give you an opportunity to shout your company out. If you don't want to, I'll definitely, I'll do it. Oh, come on, Eric, pull up. I'll sit here and, yeah. I'll wait, but yeah, Nina, we're gonna have to get you on for a quick second, man, just so you can, promote your products and your company and things of that nature, man. I am loving the shea butter. I'm loving the liquid black soap. I'm gonna have to put a real order in so I can make sure I can get the bigger sizes. But man, I am a fan. All right, we got Eric Smith in the building. What's going on, Eric? How you doing, man? You staying warm down there in DC?
Yes. Yeah, I got my winter boots pulled out, and I did some I kind of helped volunteer with like the Meals on Wheels. So the
Oh, okay,
senior
cool, man.
citizen
That's awesome.
meals. Yeah. So I was out yesterday doing a lot of shoveling and things like that. So, which was good. It was healthy for me. Okay, so I got some things to share. This time I don't need notes. So before I joined the Army, like one of my first jobs I had was I worked on the Nez Perce National Forest in Idaho as like what they call like a trail crew person. So basically all summer we went out on these trails, we improved trails, and sometimes there'd be washouts. So we go and repair the trails and things like that. But so I did kind of learn some things about forestry and ecology. And so like, for example, in California, that ecosystem is called chaparral, which stands for, if I remember correctly, in Greek or Latin for brush and for shrubbery. Okay. And to a certain extent, that part of the world, it's kind of designed to burn. I know that sounds really kind of probably backward, but a lot of forests, believe it or not, are to a certain extent designed to burn, especially when it comes to things like in Idaho, there's a type of pine that grows called ponderosa pine. And you actually need the heat from the fire to pop open the pine cones to, and when those pine cones pop open, then it throws the seeds out. And then because when fire burns things, it also kind of releases the nitric oxides or the nitrogens and all that kind of stuff back into the soil. Then it kind of helps those new ponderosa to grow again. But what's been happening because of like Obama's presidency, even a little bit of Bush's presidency, and definitely because of not Obama, because of Biden's presidency.
You could say Obama's.
Yeah, because basically it is. But yeah, so what has happened is they've been kind of suppressing forest fires, and they also have not been going through and kind of like doing ground clearing and clearing up some of the shrubbery and some of the dead downfall and things like that through the years. So when you do have a fire, then you have these very hot, intensive fires that are then just very destructive. And then, then you get like a wind going, and you even then have aspects where fire, when it gets that big, actually kind of will start creating its own weather. It'll actually kind of create its own sort of low pressure systems, and it'll draw in air, and it'll even do things like create its own thunderstorms through the big smoke cloud. Like you can actually get like a type of smoke-induced cumulonimbus cloud. So it turns into a thunderstorm, which helps spread the fire even more. So basically it boils down to where I'm going with this is it's all about mismanagement. So, but that's my little insight. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Thank
You tossed out there a cumulus nimbus cloud. I haven't heard that in a while. When I was in the Navy, I was an air traffic controller. Probably the first week or two of schooling, we had to learn weather. Like in the Navy, they call them AGs. Those are the weather guys. We call them weather guessers, but they're basically, at every airfield, there's always, a weather crew, out there that's, to kind of look at the altimeter and all of that other kind of stuff or whatever. But yeah, you kind of brought back some memories, man. But great insight, man. Great insight, man. I love it. No problem. Awesome, man.
All right,
hey, man. Stay warm out there, man. Stay warm. Hey, this snow. I can't stand this time of the year, man. I really can't.
Me too. It's rough on me. And then what doesn't help is like, I don't know how it is where you live, and maybe because I'm here in the city, there's a little bit of a wind tunnel effect. And I think the wind still kind of blows out there in the country too, but there's a wind tunnel effect. And so it can be 25 degrees, but it feels like 10. And the wind just kind of hurts, like when it hits your face. It just, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Stay bundled up, man. Stay warm. Appreciate you, Eric. Appreciate you pulling up, man. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Man, that was awesome, man. Eric came with the facts. Every time he comes on, man, he comes with some good information, man. I definitely appreciate Eric coming on, and we're gonna have to make Eric, man, maybe a regular guest of the show. He always brings and adds a little bit of sauce to the show. So I appreciate that, man. Definitely. That was awesome, man. All righty. Well, Again, if we don't have anybody else that wants to pull up, I know we got so many people camera shy and stuff like that. It's okay if you are. If you want to pull up and you don't want to turn your camera on, it's okay. You don't have to be seen, but you can be heard. If you want to go about it that route, it's okay. Oh, really, Zephyr, you're saying you're not getting the notifications? Can you check your notifications? And I would ask that everybody. That's why, in the videos I've been saying, I don't know if you guys noticed, is just make sure that you check your notifications. For whatever reason, I've received emails that people have been kicked off as far as, they were subscribed, but unsubscribed for one reason or another, or notifications been turned off for one reason or another. You just never know. We're fighting an uphill battle. It is what it is. So I do ask, just check that. I'm sorry, Zephyr, that you missed the stream, or maybe a decent little pissed of it. But yeah, man. What'd you say, TA? Let me check you out here. It says we need a list of. Let me add you up here. We need a list of the reps and senators that voted against the first bill in Congress. Yeah, we can put that together. I'll see if I can do some research on that. But all right, man. Well, we'll wrap the show today, man. Again, I appreciate everybody pulling up. Shout out to all the ARP family that pulled up today. Edmar, Eric Smith. We got our guy, Chris, new member. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, brother, for joining the ARP family. Shout out to Edmar for the $2 super chat. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. If you'd like to support the channel financially, super chat, super thanks. Very much appreciate it. If you'd like to be a member, ARP family on YouTube, or if you look at Buy Me a Coffee, there's a membership there as well. I'm in the process. I'm going to add either a Discord or a Slack channel on that side of things, because I think it'd be easier, just for all of us to communicate via there. And that will be, for, the folks in the Buy Me a Coffee membership. But I appreciate everybody that has supported the channel thus far. We're fighting an uphill battle, doing this, but I enjoy doing this and just kind of bringing, and sprinkling my little sauce on things, on a day-to-day basis, man. And I appreciate you guys supporting me, man. So, hey, stay warm, stay bundled up, stay prayed up. It is crazy. Rest in peace, and my condolences to the family out there in California. I believe there are 2 people that have perished thus far. Say prayers for them and their family. Prayers for the people out in California. Regardless of their politics, they are still Americans, and we should definitely keep them in our thoughts and prayers. Keep God first, stay prayed up, and we'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so raw, can't hide the truth.